We're speaking with Jaye Robin Brown, who is the author of No Place to Fall, a young adult contemporary novel, brandly new off the presses, out by HarperTeen. So, Jaye, I'd like to start. Could you tell me a little bit about the title of this book, what it refers to?
Well, it's actually kind of a funny story. It is not the original title, and my editor sent me a list of phrases that were in the book, and we whittled down, and I threw some more back at her, and this was on the original, No Place to Fall was on her original brainstormed list, and we just kind of both settled on it. But then I went back through my manuscript to edit, and I never found that phrase. And then I went back and searched an earlier version, and I never found that phrase. So I ended up adding it in, but I think it was like a bit of serendipitous foreshadowing or something. I don't know how to put that, because it ended up being a really good thing, and it kind of refers to the fact that it's hard to fall in a place where so many people care about you. So it doesn't always seem that way.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious because it's like music plays a large role in this book, and it's the title of one group that I know, a song by the Little Willies that I know of. And then when I was Googling it, I noticed that it was actually is the title of a couple of different songs. So I thought that might.
Here's more of a coincidence. My first cousin is named Margaret Brown, and she's a documentary filmmaker. And her first documentary is called Someone to Love You, and it's a documentary about Townes Van Zandt. And it's his song.
Oh, wow.
And so it's just kind of really weird. It's like,
yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Anyway,
it was meant to be the title.
Meant to be.
Yeah. So, Jaye, tell me about your main character, Amber Vaughn, who is a good girl at the start, sings at church, babysits in her spare time, and is a regular kid. And then what? Then what happens?
Well, Amber is not. I mean, in some ways, that description, I think, has thrown readers a little bit because she's not a goody-goody. Definitely enjoys regular teenage fun and sometimes experimentation. But the good girl part is that she really, she wants to do right by the people she cares about, and she will forego her own comfort to make that happen.
I see.
And so in doing that, she makes some choices that end up not being the best for herself because she doesn't really put herself first. She puts other people first, even when that's not always the best decision.
And it sounds like the catalyst is a trip into the wilds, sort of. Is that correct? I'm all over that.
Well, where the story is set is in western North Carolina, and kind of based on the counties where I live and teach, although I've fictionalized it. But the Appalachian Trail runs through the counties and separates North Carolina from Tennessee. And there are a lot of hikers that hike through, and I have students who have the Appalachian Trail running through the back of their property. And part of the genesis for the story was hearing, and I overheard a conversation in my classroom about a party in an abandoned cabin, and that party cabin was not on the Appalachian Trail, but a lot of times the through hikers or section hikers will have barns that are known that they can shelter in. And some of these folks that have property that borders the trail will actually put up signs for the hikers. And I myself have gone out during the summer, and you can take trail magic out to the shelters, and we'll do a collection, and we'll collect like portable foods and medicine. Like I think it was summer before last, there was some bad like cold virus that was hitting all of the hikers, and so we collected like cold medicine and took it, and you just drop it in a tub at the shelter, and then when the hikers come through, there's treats waiting for them.
Wow. So this is the trail that Amber heads out on in the book.
Well, she doesn't head out on it. She and her best friend, Devin, like to visit this barn that is an overnight shelter, and they go up and they take their guitar on summer nights and meet these through hikers that come through and play music and hang out, and she's kind of having her last bit of summer of wild. And, and I mean, if I say too much, I'll give things away.
Give things away. Okay, fair enough. That's great. I'm glad you're talking to me a little bit about the setting, because I am sort of recently coming to understand how acutely setting plays a role in shaping the narratives, well, that make themselves available to me, or the stories that want to be told. So can you tell me a little bit about how setting informs the kinds of characters you have in your book?
Sure. Amber is actually a great example of that, because at times she feels very claustrophobic. She feels like everybody's up in her business because of this small town. But then when she sings, she feels really free and alive. And the setting of the Appalachian Mountains is a lot like that, too, because kind of when you get back into the hollers and the folds of the mountains, it can feel very closed in, which at times can feel comforting and like a nest, but at other times can feel like you're being smothered. And then when you get out on the trail and up on the ridge lines and you can see for a couple of states, away, it's like the whole world's available to you right out your back door. And so that kind of feeling of being crowded by the mountains and seeking freedom by getting up onto the ridges definitely kind of played into how she's feeling through a lot of the story.
Yeah, that's great. That's such a great description. I am a prairies girl, like through and through. And so that claustrophobia of the mountains, I completely understand what you're talking about, but I love how you've paralleled that in the characterization. That's so great. So let's talk small towns for a minute. Did you grow up in a small town?
I did not grow up in a town as small as the one where I live now. But I did live outside of the main town. But I have always been fascinated by small towns and small town politics and and by politics I don't necessarily mean political parties and government. I mean people, families and class and status. And I guess I had a fair amount of that growing up in my family. There was the people they were friends with felt like a small town, even though physically it wasn't a small town. But I've been living in this area now for about 15 years, and it feels very much like home.
Right.
Small towns are just fascinating, just because everybody knows everybody, and they know who you're related to, and they know the mistakes you've made and the good things you've done, and it's all part of what colors you.
Tell me a little bit about how you balance writing and your day job, because you are also a full-time teacher, correct?
I am.
Yeah, how do you do that?
I don't have television. I haven't for years. I get up every morning, and my first alarm goes off at 4:45, and the second one at 4:55.
Ah, yes.
And for the most part, I'm up every morning at my desk by no later than about 5:10, and I write till 6:30, 6:45.
Right. I've seen this hashtag, or this, maybe it's a Twitter group or something, the 5 a.m. Writers Club.
People that come in and out, but there's sort of a core group that have been writing together for 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, that's great. Tell me a bit about what you're working on now.
I am working on another contemporary. I have a 2-book deal with Harper, and kind of struggled. I've definitely gone through the second book horror story, and have tried some things that haven't been right for the market, and so now I'm working on something else, and I don't know if it's going to be a go, but I'm very excited about it. It's a story about the out daughter of a moderate radio minister, and on the wedding night to his third wife, and it is third time is the charm. She's a good one. An incident happens that propels the father to ask his daughter if she will agree to lay low for a year in their new town in exchange for her wanted gap year, which he has been against. And so it's kind of about, again, small town, religion, and being a gay girl in that setting, but having to kind of not really go back in the closet, but just be kind of neutral for a year in exchange for this much wanted thing.
Oh, that sounds great.
I'm having a lot of fun writing it. It's still just a first draft. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but
Okay.
I'm hopeful.
Okay, so are we. Sounds great. Here's Jaye Robin Brown reading from No Place to Fall.
The section I'm about to read is Amber has joined the school chorus, something she's resisted, but her mom has sort of blackmailed her into joining. So this is one of her first days in chorus, and it features Amber and the boy that she's had a crush on for a while, Will McKinney. When we finish the third run-through of the song, Mrs. Early claps. Beautiful. Now let's have some fun. I'm going to let you show off a bit. The room rustles to life and the other chorus students whisper to each other. Obviously, the members who've been with Mrs. Early for a while know what's happening, but I don't have a clue. I glance over at Will. He's looking right at me, dark eyes unreadable. He raises his palms skyward with a shrug of his shoulders like he's clueless too. Is acknowledging my existence again an apology? Mrs. Early walks toward a girl in the front row. Okay, Becca, pull out 3 names. The girl, a senior I vaguely know, pulls out 3 slips of paper from a glass bowl. She reads them off one by one. Destiny Miller, Brandon Davenport, Amber Vaughn. Delightful, Mrs. Early smiles. Now remember, pick a song that best represents you. I lean over to the girl sitting next to me. What are we doing? Show off solos, the girl replies. You got picked, right? I nod. Choose a song you sing really well and show off. I feel a knot swell in my gut. You're kidding. Nope. The girl smiles wide. But you'll do great. Because my name got drawn last, I go last. The first girl, Destiny, sings a new country song I keep hearing on the radio. When she gets to the beer drinking and hell-raising part, she pumps her fist in the air, and the chorus room erupts in laughter. Even Mrs. Early allows it to slip with only a disapproving twist to her lips. Brandon, a quiet boy who's been in school with me since kindergarten, sings a sweeping love song I've never heard a man sing before. I notice a few of the girls wiping their eyes at the end. When he sits down, I panic. Amber, you want to sing where you are? Mrs. Early points toward my ankle. I glance at Will and stand. It's okay, I say. I'll come down. What are you going to sing? Mrs. Early asks. The cuckoo? I ask tentatively. She nods. I look at the case by Will's feet. Can Will McKinney play his banjo while I sing? Will? Mrs. Early asks. But Will's hand is already reaching for the latches on his case. That simple movement washes a wave of memory over me. Birds calling, the wind swirling, the smell of fading summer and the feeling of his lips on mine. I clear my throat and give my head a shake. I nod, and Will starts picking the notes on his banjo. The sweet plink surrounds me, and I draw my voice, pure as mountain air, up and out into the room. I tell the story of the cuckoo, letting my voice linger on the high notes. Will fills in the space with his own music. Our eyes never meet, but our music is seamless, like water flowing and filling a negative space.